There is a moment that happens in far too many salon chairs after 60. You ask for something flattering, modern, maybe even a little exciting, and somehow you leave with the same safe, rounded haircut you have seen 100 times before. It is practical, it is easy to maintain, but easy does not always mean flattering. The right haircut should do more than simply keep your hair neat. It should create movement around your face, bring softness to your features, lift the eye toward your cheekbones, and make thinning or silver hair feel intentional rather than something you need to hide. And you do not need a dramatic makeover to achieve that. Today, I am showing you 5 haircuts that can make women over 60 look fresher, more elegant, and beautifully current in 2026. From the polished French chin bob to the playful Flippy Bob, each one works for a different reason. And stay until the end, because I will also show you how to choose the right one for your face shape, and exactly what to ask for at the salon. The French chin bob is one of those rare haircuts that feels polished without looking overly styled. And for women over 60, its real power comes from one important detail, where the length ends. Ideally, this bob should meet the chin rather than stopping awkwardly above it or hanging heavily several inches below. That clean placement creates definition around the lower face and gives the jawline a stronger visual frame. But the mistake is assuming that a French bob should simply be cut straight across and left heavy. What makes the modern version work is invisible internal layering. Ask your stylist to keep the outer perimeter clean, substantial, and beautifully defined while quietly removing excess weight underneath. You still see that elegant, almost blunt-looking edge, but the hair has enough freedom to move. This is especially helpful if your hair has become finer with age, because too much weight can make the roots appear flatter and the entire style feel heavier. The goal is not enormous volume, it is lightness, shape, and controlled movement. For styling, keep it simple. A subtle inward bend at the ends can beautifully frame the jaw. Tucking one side behind the ear opens the face and gives the cut that effortless French feeling, especially with a beautiful pair of earrings. And when you sit in the salon chair, be specific. Say, I'd like a chin-length French bob with a clean perimeter and subtle internal layers. Keep the outside looking full, but remove enough weight underneath so the hair moves naturally. That one instruction can be the difference between a heavy, ordinary bob and one that looks modern, elegant, and incredibly flattering. If the French chin bob is about clean structure, the modern shag is about movement. And movement can be incredibly flattering after 60, especially when hair has become finer, flatter, or less naturally full than it once was. The secret is layering, but not random, choppy layers everywhere. A well-cut modern shag begins with shorter layers around the crown to create gentle lift at the roots. From there, the layers gradually cascade through the sides and lengths, allowing the hair to separate, move, and catch the light instead of sitting heavily against the head. That movement creates the impression of greater fullness without requiring stiff hairspray or excessive teasing. Then comes the detail that makes this haircut feel especially current. A soft curtain fringe. The fringe should be shorter near the center, lightly grazing the brow area, then become gradually longer as it moves toward the temples and cheekbones. This creates a beautiful opening around the eyes, while giving the sides of the face softness and direction. For women with finer hair, avoid making the fringe too thick. You want airy movement, not a heavy curtain that steals density from the rest of your hair. Styling should feel relaxed. A lightweight mousse at the roots, gentle scrunching through the lengths, and a little natural texture are often enough. This haircut should never look stiff or overly perfect. At the salon, try saying, I want a modern shag with soft crown lift, flowing layers, and curtain-style face framing. Keep the ends light and textured rather than blunt, and make the fringe soft enough to move naturally. The result should feel effortless, feminine, and alive. The kind of haircut that moves with you instead of simply sitting on your head. The Bixie may be the boldest change on this list, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. Many women over 60 hesitate to go shorter because they worry it will make them look older, too severe, or less feminine. A beautifully cut Bixie can do exactly the opposite. Think of it as the perfect meeting point between a bob and a pixie. The back is shorter and softly tapered toward the nape, which removes unnecessary bulk and gives the neck a cleaner, more elegant line. But the front stays longer, with enough softness around the temples and a sweeping side fringe that can fall toward the cheekbone. That longer diagonal line in front is important. Instead of creating a round shape around the entire head, it directs the eye upward and across the face, bringing more attention to the eyes and cheekbones. The Bixie can also be particularly flattering for silver, gray, and salt and pepper hair. Rather than forcing natural texture to lie perfectly smooth, this haircut allows a little separation and movement to become part of the style. The result feels modern rather than overly controlled. If you have thinning around the crown, ask for strategic layering through the top instead of aggressive thinning. You want enough structure to encourage lift while keeping valuable density where you need it most, and avoid having the temples cut too short. Leaving softness there prevents the style from becoming harsh. At the salon, say, "I'd like a modern Bixie with a softly tapered nape, gentle lift through the crown, and a longer side-swept fringe that reaches toward my cheekbone." Keep softness around the temples, and finish it textured and natural, not stiff or spiky. The best Bixie does not make you look like you are trying to be younger. It makes you look confident enough to wear a haircut with personality. Not every woman needs a completely new haircut to create a noticeable change. Sometimes, the most flattering update is simply changing what happens around the face. That is exactly why a soft curtain fringe can be so effective after 60. Unlike a heavy, straight-across bang, curtain fringe is designed to open rather than close the face. The center should be light and relatively short, usually grazing around the eyebrow area. From there, the fringe gradually becomes longer as it moves toward the temples, eventually blending into the existing layers around your cheekbones. That gradual curve is what makes the difference. Instead of creating a solid wall of hair across the forehead, it creates two soft diagonal lines that guide attention toward the eyes. It can also gently soften forehead lines and make thinning around the front hairline feel less noticeable without looking as though you are trying to hide anything. But there is one important mistake to avoid: starting the fringe too far back. A useful guideline is the two-finger rule. Place 2 fingers against your hairline. The section used to create your fringe should generally stay relatively close to that front area rather than extending deeply toward the crown. Why? Because taking too much hair from farther back can create a fringe that feels thick and heavy while stealing fullness from the top of your head. For finer hair, that can make the crown appear even flatter. You want softness, not weight. The curtain fringe should also move. It should separate naturally, sweep toward the sides, and blend into the rest of your haircut, rather than sitting like a perfectly shaped helmet. At your next appointment, say, "I'd like a soft curtain fringe that stays light through the center and gradually gets longer toward my temples. Please keep the section close to my front hairline and blend it softly into my face-framing layers. I want airy, movable bangs, not thick, heavy ones." Sometimes you do not need to change your entire haircut. You simply need to change where the eye is drawn. The Flippy Bob is for the woman who wants something polished, but with a little more personality. While a traditional bob usually falls straight or curves inward toward the face, this version does something completely different. The ends turn outward, and that small change can transform the way the entire haircut frames your face. The most flattering length usually sits slightly below the chin, giving the ends enough room to create that soft outward movement. Instead of allowing all the visual weight to fall downward around the jaw, the flipped ends create a sense of lift and energy at the lower part of the face. But this haircut should never look stiff or overly curled. The modern Flippy Bob is softer. Ask for subtle internal layers so unnecessary weight is removed from inside the haircut, while the outer perimeter remains clean and defined. This keeps the body light enough for the ends to move without making the hair look thin or overly feathered. It can be especially beautiful on silver and salt and pepper hair. Those natural variations in color catch the light differently as the ends turn and move, giving the hair dimension without requiring an elaborate color treatment. Styling is surprisingly simple. Use a round brush or flat iron to gently turn the last section of the hair outward. You are looking for a relaxed flick, not a dramatic curl. And do not overdo the volume at the crown. A little lift is beautiful, but the signature of this haircut should remain at the ends. At the salon, say, "I'd like a Flippy Bob that sits slightly below my chin, with a clean perimeter and light internal layering. I want the ends to turn softly outward, with enough movement to look effortless, rather than heavily styled. The result is playful, without looking juvenile, elegant, without feeling predictable, and modern, without asking you to become someone you are not." Now that you have seen all 5 haircuts, the next question is simple. Which one is most likely to flatter you? If you have an oval face, you have the most flexibility. Both the French chin bob and the modern shag work beautifully, because your balanced proportions can handle either a clean, structured shape or softer layered movement. For a round face, think about creating a little more height and direction rather than adding width at the sides. The modern shag with gentle crown lift is an excellent choice. A Bixie with a diagonal side fringe can also draw the eye upward, while the Flippy Bob creates movement around the jaw instead of allowing the hair to sit heavily against it. If your face is square, softness is your friend. You do not need to hide a strong jawline. You simply want to balance it. Curtain fringe, flowing shag layers, or a French bob with subtle face-framing pieces can introduce the curved and diagonal movement that makes stronger features look beautifully refined. For a heart-shaped face, where the forehead is wider and the chin is narrower, consider adding visual interest lower around the face. The Flippy Bob is particularly flattering because those outward-moving ends create balance near the jaw. A Bixie with a longer, softer front can work beautifully too. And if your biggest concern is thinning around the crown, pay less attention to face shape and more attention to structure. The modern shag and Bixie are especially useful because strategic layering can encourage lift without requiring excessive styling. Remember, these are guidelines, not rules. The best haircut is the one that works with your face, your hair density, your natural texture, and the amount of styling you are actually willing to do every morning. Choosing the right haircut is only half the story. The other half is knowing how to explain what you want once you are sitting in the salon chair. So before your next appointment, remember these 3 simple phrases. The first is, "I want lift and movement, not too much roundness." This immediately tells your stylist that you do not want the hair sitting close to the head in one solid, rounded shape. You want strategic lift, softness, and movement that directs attention upward and keeps the haircut feeling current. The second is, please keep the ends textured and movable, rather than cutting everything into one stiff line. This is especially important with layered styles. Soft point cutting or carefully placed texturizing can help the ends blend and move naturally. But if your hair is very fine, remind your stylist not to over-texturize. You still need enough density at the ends for the hair to look healthy and full, and the third phrase may be the simplest. Please show me the back before we finish. Do not wait until you get home to discover that the back is much shorter, heavier, or rounder than you expected. Look at it while you are still in the chair. Check the neckline. Check the crown. Check how the layers fall from behind. And if something does not feel right, speak up. A good salon appointment should be a conversation, not a moment where you simply say, "That's fine. Bring a reference photo." Explain how much styling you are willing to do. Tell your stylist where your hair feels thin, where you want softness, and which features you would like the haircut to emphasize. Because the goal is not simply to leave with shorter hair. The goal is to leave with a haircut that feels unmistakably like you. A great haircut after 60 is not about trying to turn back the clock. It is about choosing a shape that works with the woman you are today. Maybe that is the clean sophistication of a French chin bob. Maybe you need the movement of a modern shag, the confidence of a Bixie, the softness of Curtain Fringe, or the playful lift of a Flippy Bob. The important thing is that you stop choosing a haircut simply because someone tells you it is practical for your age. Your hair may be finer now. It may be silver, gray, straighter, curlier, or completely different from the hair you had 20 years ago. That does not mean your choices have become smaller. It simply means your haircut should evolve with you, so at your next salon appointment, bring a photograph, ask questions, talk about movement, length, texture, and where you want softness or lift. And before you leave that chair, look at yourself from every angle. Do not settle for "it's fine." You deserve to look in the mirror and recognize yourself, only fresher, more polished, and completely confident in the woman looking back. Now tell me in the comments, which of these 5 haircuts would you actually try? And if you enjoy elegant, practical style advice for women over 60, subscribe and join me for the next video.